What is up, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be taking an in-depth look at what the Bible has to say about money. I was very hesitant to do this type of video because I think that it's very dangerous and really just a bad way to study the Bible when you pick out certain verses to go along with a particular topic. It grossly takes them out of context, and like I said, it's a bad way to really study the Bible because context matters. Obviously, you've already noticed the length of this video, and the truth is I just simply don't have time to go into the contextual significance of every single verse that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to preface this video with I did my best. Don't rip me a new one in the comments, please. Know this, I did my best, and what I want you to walk away with is the fact that money is a tool, and more specifically, money is a tool to glorify God. Now, there are many ways that money can be used to glorify God, but in the end, it all comes back to Jesus. He is truly the only thing that matters. If you don't have Jesus and you're watching this video, nothing else in this video is really going to help you. Nothing else in this video really even matters. So to recap, don't yell at me. Jesus is the only thing that matters, and let's get into the video. To start off, we really need to take a look at why we have money in the first place. Money is an exchange of energy. Money itself has no intrinsic value anymore. The value really comes from what money can purchase. The value is really the result of money. When we look at money this way, it takes us all the way back to the Garden of Eden in the book of Genesis. God commands Adam and Eve to work the land, and they had very specific purposes. They were to be in healthy relationships with each other, with God, eventually other people, and with nature as well. And all of that went back to glorifying God. All of those things required work, and work was not punishment. Work was productive, healthy, good, and necessary. Work that results in providing has always been a part of the bigger picture. Years later, and we have the middleman, money. In an article that I read by Dr. Jameson, he said, "Money is a good gift from God because it is both a reward for the work He Himself commands us to do and a means of sustaining the life He has given to us. Working hard and earning money glorifies God, and we see this throughout Scripture. Proverbs tells us that those who work their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies have no sense. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." However, it is so important to remember that our hard work and our purpose is ultimately a gift from God. Now, I am a sled dog of a person, and if you're not familiar, sled dogs have been known to literally love work so much that they will work themselves to death. Sled dogs simply don't quit because they love it. And I am the same way. I love projects, I love progress, and I really do just love work. So this is very easy for me to understand and to grasp. God made work, work is good, and I love work. But I know that not everyone is like this, and you may be someone who really struggles to be thankful for God-given work. I'm very curious. Let me know below in the comments if you are a sled dog person or no. Is it difficult or is it easy for you to look forward to work and to find opportunities to make money? So far, we've established that money is the middleman between work and provisions. God created work in the Garden Garden of Eden, and it was inherently good. Adam and Eve would work and God would provide. But all good things must come to an end, specifically when it comes to the Garden of Eden. And when Adam and Eve sinned, work was basically cursed and it was made extremely frustrating. All of a sudden, the work could be worshipped, and even more relevant to this video, the result of the work could be worshipped. This is where the major temptation of worshiping money comes into the picture. Do you want more comfort? Do you want more security? How does more power sound, or more happiness, right? And ever since the curse, the world has presented an answer to all of those things, and that answer is money. But money isn't bad, just like work isn't bad. You know what is bad? It's us. We are the problem. And when I was thinking about this video, I was racking my brain trying to understand why the relationship between the church and money is so tense. And I think it's because of this fact right here. It is so much easier to just blame the money, to blame wealth, than it is to accept the fact that the problem is you and the problem is me, and the fact that we desperately need Jesus. Let's take a look at what the Bible has to say about what worshiping money leads to. Ecclesiastes says, "Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless." Luke says, "Then he said to them, 'Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions.'" Hebrews says, "Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, 'Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you.'" And finally, Matthew says, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." If there are any action steps that I want you to take away from this part of the video, it is to stop villainizing money and to stop villainizing people that have money. I'll say it one more time and then we can move on from this, but money is not the problem. We, the people, are the problem because we need Jesus. Damning money is a surefire way to have a horrific money mindset, and this is probably something that you will pass on to your children as well. Speaking of children, so let's talk about investing. Here is a verse that I am sure you heard if you grew up in the church. Matthew 6 says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and rust do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." I feel like growing up, I heard this verse so much when it came to talking about money, and it was just a very open and shut case. Like, yep, don't store up treasures on earth. There you go. However, have you ever heard of this passage in 1 Timothy? And by the way, this is part of the reason why context is so important. 1 Timothy says, "Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasures for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life." And I love that passage in particular because it says, great, you have a lot of money. As long as your focus is on Jesus, you're going to be able to use that money to really make an impact on the world. You can be generous, you can share, and you can truly live an abundant life. In addition to that passage, there's also several other verses that talk about the foolishness of not saving up money or leaving a good inheritance to their children and their grandchildren. There's also several verses, especially in Proverbs, that speak out against not providing for your family. And again, this goes back to the concept of work. And here's a very sobering truth for you. Just because you have $5 in your bank account doesn't mean that this glorifies God, and it also doesn't mean that you're not worshiping money. On the other hand, if you have a net worth of $10 million, this does not mean that you are automatically not worshiping or not glorifying God. And it also doesn't automatically mean that you are worshiping the money. Are you starting to see how it's not an issue of a number? It truly is an issue of the heart. If we become more invested in earthly gains than in eternal rewards, we've completely missed the point. We are worshiping the results of the work instead of the one who gave us purpose and gave us the work to do in the first place. This really leads us into the subject of debt. When you have debt, you are a slave to the lender. And this isn't just some cute figure of speech or some sort of metaphor. When you owe someone money, you are literally working to pay back the loan. The money that you are earning is not yours. It belongs to someone else and you spent it already. There's a lot of verses on this, especially in Proverbs. Proverbs speaks out against the dangers and the disaster that can overwhelm someone when they are enslaved to debt. And really hear me on this, guys. God did not create you so that you could live your life enslaved to someone else through debt. There are a lot of gray areas that I've touched on in this video, but debt is not one of them. This is a very black and white issue. If you have debt, you need to get out of consumer debt as soon as possible. Really quick, I want to give you guys a rundown of how we should handle money based on scripture. And number one is gratitude or out of thankfulness. I'm not going to read them all, but here they are on the side. There is so much scripture when it comes to not being greedy or jealous, but being content and thankful for what you have. For my fellow sled dog people out there, this is really a hard one for us because when we are content, we feel like we might be settling at some point. It's very difficult for us to be satisfied. The fine line between contentment and lethargy is a tough one for us to walk. And I'm preaching to myself here, but work on that. When you really rest in contentment, you will also find peace. Number two is generosity. And again, I'll put a list of all of those right here, but it's really important that we integrate and we live a life full of generosity. Being generous just because you're told to be generous is such a cop-out and it's such a fake generosity. There's a huge difference between being told to be generous and actually living a life out of abundance and out of generosity. And number three is saving and investing for the future. And I'll put all the scripture over here when it comes to saving, investing, and really overall just being wise and providing and taking care of your family. I think one of the more powerful stories when it comes to investing and saving for the future is the parable of the talents. And here it is paraphrased. A master goes on a journey and he gives 5 talents to one of his servants. He gives 2 talents to another servant and he gives 1 talent to a third. Note that he gave each of these servants according to their ability. And another important note to make here is what is a talent? So basically a talent was a huge sum of money. 1 talent was equal to 16 years of a salary. So to understand what kind of numbers we're dealing with here, take your salary or your yearly income times that by 16, and that was just 1 talent. So we're talking about a enormous amount of money here that was given to these 3 servants. Here's what happened. The servant with 5 talents went and invested that 5 talents, and he made 5 more. The servant with 2 talents went and invested the 2, and he made 2 more. The servant with 1 talent, however, went away and he hid, buried the 1 talent that he was given. When the master got home, he went and he praised the 2 servants that had been active, that had invested what had been given to them, and they had more. He says, "Well done, you've been faithful. Let's party. Now I can give you even more talents." Keep in mind, they invested everything that they had and they made a ton more. When the master comes to the 3rd servant and sees that he still just has the 1 talent, he calls him lazy and slothful. He takes away the 1 talent that he had and he gives it to the servant who now had 10 talents. He takes that servant and he casts him out into the darkness because he didn't do anything with what he had been given. I love this story because even though it just uses money, it can actually be symbolic for so much more in our lives. For example, it could be gifts that have been given to us, either material goods or skill sets or actual talents. And it's such a clear picture. If we have what's been given to us and we hide it and we bury it, it will be taken away from us. Ultimately, a very haunting story when we look at how most people are handling their money today. Going back to the beginning of the video, I really want to challenge you guys to recognize that both work and money have been given to us as a tool to glorify God. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.